Hey ladies, my name is Breanna Rutter, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how I achieve these gold cornrow braids on my own hair. And of course I'm gonna show you step by step how I achieve this look. This was such a fun, quick, easy, and cute hairstyle to do. I'm gonna also show you how I got those curly ends using braiding hair. So what you're gonna need is you're gonna need about 3 packs of hair, and then you're gonna need some gold ribbons to achieve this look. So if you like this look so far, let me know down below. And we're gonna jump right in as I show you the type of supplies you're gonna need to achieve this look. To start off, you're gonna use some edge control to make your parts very slick and neat, and then also to style up your edges. So we're gonna use some hair cutting scissors to cut the hair, as well as a rat tail comb for parting. Now for starters, I like to use kanekalon braiding hair when braiding cornrow braids or any type of braided look. And I like to use the color number 1B. And this is the highlight of the style. We're gonna use gold ribbons to get into this look. So first, I like to use some clips to keep my hair sectioned as I begin parting. I first like to part how I want the actual parted area to be, and then I like to use edge control to slick down on the part to help me to further clean up the look. So after cleaning up my part, I like to use clips to keep the rest of the hair out of the way, comb through the area I'm going to be braiding, and then I like to slick down the very beginning of my braid. This helps for your braids to look extremely neat, especially if you have natural hair. This definitely helps you to look like you just got a fresh relaxer. So what I'm doing is I'm just slicking it down and using my comb to smooth the beginning of the braid. I always like to start my cornrow braids away from my edges because we gotta hashtag save those edges, girl. So you're just gonna use your comb to slick it back, and then I'm kind of using my fingers to make a point on where I want my braids to start. So I like to make sure that I'm doing this method where I divide the braiding hair into 2 sections, and then I'm going to actually trim off the ends. Now I used to always prep an entire package of braiding hair, but I noticed I had a lot of waste. So now I just do 1 section at a time. So this long length you see here will be the long length of the braiding hair. And then I saved a little bit of hair to the side and I cut it in half. This hair you see me prepping here will actually make the braid longer by feeding it at the bottom of my braid, as you can see here. So here is the gold ribbon, the highlight of this hairstyle. This is gonna add so much flavor to your cornrow braids, ain't no way you going back. So now I'm just gonna spin off the gold ribbon off of the spool, and I'm gonna make this very long. I'm actually going to get 2 pieces, but each piece needs to be double the length of your braiding hair. So it's extremely long and it's going to be able to reach the bottom of my braid. So I cut off 1 ribbon and I take a quick look at it to make sure it's as long as my braid, and then I'm gonna spin a second piece. Now, when I did my braids and I only had 1 piece, the gold was here and there and it was way more subtle, but I wanted to add, you know, just a little bit of extraness. So that's why I have 2 pieces here. So now we're gonna begin by dividing our braiding hair into 2 sections. You're gonna pinch off 1/3 of the size for one leg and then 2/3 of the size for the other. And you're gonna put your ribbon on both sections. So that way when you overlap it, you can see a lot of gold reflections in your cornrow braids. So now I'm pinching that smaller piece over to the right side, and then I'm gonna use my right hand and I'm gonna make sure I pull the 2 pieces together. And this is very important. You're gonna see why later. So I'm gonna pinch it off to the side, making sure they're together. And then I'm gonna position the hair in my hands, and then I'm gonna rotate my right hand underneath and pinch it with my index, thumb, and middle finger. Now we're going to begin feeding it on our section for our cornrow. As you can see here, I'm literally starting about 1/2 inch back from my hairline. Ladies, if you have issues losing your edges or you have issues with traction alopecia, just slick down the beginning of your braid and start just a wee way back. So that way you're not putting too much tension on your hairline. This is a fact that if you keep braiding your hair too tight in your hairline, it will cause breakage. So now I'm just continuing to overlap one over the other, trying to make sure I keep the gold ribbons to the side of my braid so that I can see the reflections as I continue to braid going all the way down. So as you're braiding your hair, you may need to stop momentarily just to readjust your ribbons to make sure it's on the outward leg of your braid so that you can see it reflect more. Because as you're naturally braiding, the ribbon is so smooth and silky that it will actually hide underneath your braiding hair and not stick out as much. So you just gotta continue to kind of tug it to the left or tug it to the right, depending on which leg you're braiding, so that it can continue to show throughout your cornrow braid. So now you just continue to braid going all the way to the back of your head, and then I'm gonna show you that when I leave the scalp, I just free one hand and I bring the other hand in front of me so that I can continue to braid. Now, as you're braiding, you want to make sure that you also smoothing your real hair inside of the braiding hair so that you don't have any flyaways. So if you always notice that your real hair sticks out of your braids, you need to be smoothing with your fingers as you overlap each leg over the other. And another good tip is you can use edge control to slick it on the ends of your real hair so that when you're braiding, it stays very neat inside of your cornrow. As you can see, the ribbons are longer than the braiding hair, and I'm going to show you why. Because we actually need to feed more braiding hair onto this cornrow so it's as long as the other braids. Now remember that smaller section of hair we prepped in the beginning? That's what you're going to feed at the bottom of your cornrow. So you just loop it onto the short leg and the middle leg, and you continue to overlap it. It's super easy extending the length of your braids. You just want to focus on smaller pieces at a time instead of one big chunk. So while braiding, make sure that you keep the shiny side up. When you are actually braiding with your ribbon, there's one side that's a little duller and one side that's a little shiny. You want the shiny side to stay up so that it can make your braids look very silky and very smooth, and it shows a lot of reflection from the gold flecks inside the gold ribbon. And if you want more details on the gold ribbon, just check out the description below. So now that the hair is about the length I want it to be, I'm just trimming off the ends at a staggered length. And now I'm gonna add a curly piece of braiding hair with another piece of ribbon so that I can make the ends of my braids curly, and I'm going to show you how to feed it onto the end of your braid. So as you see, you just open up and you add it to the middle leg and the leg to the right, and you literally just continue braiding as normal. Don't overthink this process because it's super simple. You just add a leg to both sides and you continue braiding as if the hair was there the whole time. That's how you feed in extra pieces of hair. Now you may be wondering, why didn't you just braid all of your braids with curly pieces? That's because the curly pieces don't need to be throughout the length, and plus kanekalon braiding hair is a lot cheaper. So I'm just using a few curly pieces to add to the very ends of the braids to help save money and to just add to the look where I want the curly hair to actually be. So now in order to seal off your braid, you want to make sure that you braid past the kanekalon braid first. And then you're going to pinch off a little bit of the curly hair and you're going to form knots along the bottom. So continue watching because I'm going to show you exactly how that looks. So you just pinch off a small piece of hair and then you wrap it around the end of the braid, and then you bring it back through to tie a knot. Now you're gonna pinch off an even smaller piece of hair, and then you're gonna do this again. The reason why you want to keep tying knots with smaller and smaller pieces of hair is because it reinforces the original knots so that the end of your braid does not unravel. This is the perfect way to seal off the ends of your braid without having to use any rubber bands or having to use any type of lighters or anything like that to seal it. So as you can see, this is how the curly ends of the cornrow braids look with these ribbons. This is such a cool spin on such a classic style. But hold up. I know a lot of y'all love watching my tutorials, but some of you have actually never commented before. So if you've never commented before, I need you to show me some love for the very first time and let me know down below what you think of this hairstyle. Do you like these ribbons with these cornrow braids? Or also, would you like to see me do other styles with using ribbons as well? You gotta let me know. So now as you can see here, I'm just adding a little bit of sass to these edges, using edge control and an edge brush to style it up as you see here. Now of course, you could just slick it back, or you can choose to not style it. It's totally up to you. I always like to put the finishing touches on my styles by playing around with some edge control. I noticed that lately I've been getting a lot of comments on my videos about people asking me, girl, what have you been doing to your edges? They're so full and so healthy looking. This is the thing, y'all. I had lost my edges a while back, and I actually made a video showing y'all how I grew my edges back. So make sure to check out previous videos that I already did showing you my breakdown video of how I grew back my edges. And voila, this is the finished look to the gold cornrow braids. I had such a blast doing this style because this is such a unique, creative spin on such a classic look. This is how you bring cornrow braids to life, okay? So if y'all wanna see other styles inspired by me using ribbons or any other types of looks, let me know down in the comments. And here's a quick spin around of how these braids look. And I'll catch y'all next time. Bye-bye.